With Total War Warhammer 2 just a handful of days away, we can really kind of delve into some of the final vestiges of the lore for the first game. Of course, we can do a lot more lore after that fact, but here's just a little bit more here. I want to jump into the three ancestor gods of the dwarves, so Grungi, Valaya, and Grimnir. Each one really kind of has like a different aspect of dwarf society that they kind of fall under. We've talked about really the elf gods, we've talked about the chaos gods, who are very incorporeal and very, very spiritual. But the dwarf gods are a little bit different, and there's one they're at one time kind of living beings, just like Sigmar. So the dwarves and the humans have a kinship in that, and that their patrons once walked the land that they now inhabit. So this video is going to focus on Grimnir, the warrior of the ancestor gods. So Grimnir is the brother of Grungi and the joint husband of Valaya, and we'll get more into the life of all three as a whole more in Grungi. But Grungi and Grimnir both married Valaya, and his symbol is a mighty double-bladed axe, the favored weapon of the Slayers, and he's actually the patron of all warriors, namely the Slayers. So this kind of harkens back to their origin story, as Grimnir would protect the dwarfs from giants, dragons, and trolls, and kind of the same kind of format that a Slayer even falls into. A dwarf Slayer, whoops, a dragon Slayer, a troll Slayer, everything of the sort. So during the Grand Chaos Incursion, he dual-wielded axes and delivered the pain of a Dawe upon the demons. And axes were, of course, these axes were, of course, smithed by Grungi, Grungi being the patron god of blacksmithing and mining, which we'll go into as well. But he decides to kind of go close the Chaos Gate on his own with his bare hands. And that's an important thing to note. Kalidor, the dragon tamer from the High Elf world, had kind of said, like, I suspect that there might be some Chaos Gates that are allowing all these demons to come to the world. We kind of talk about the High Elves when it comes to the Great Vortex and the Chaos Incursion, and how they were the ones battling everything and opened up the Great Vortex that drained the world of all the Chaos influence. But the dwarfs were very much involved in their own kind of fight against the Chaos Incursion. So it is important to note that it wasn't just the Lizardmen and the High Elf kind of duking things out on their own. The dwarfs had their own role in this scenario. So Grimnir here decides to go do some closing. He shaves his entire head, sans a giant crest, which he then dyes orange and spikes with troll fat. You can kind of sounds like pig tallow, like the way that Norse Vikings used to shape and mold their beards using pig tallow. So he covered himself in the blue markings of his own personal rune. And this is where we really get the Slayers, where they get their rituals from as far as their shaving of their head to kind of embody that they're taking up the Slayer's oath. They are going to pursue death in a glorious way to redeem themselves in Grimnir, Grungi, and Valaya's eyes. So he gives one of his axes to his son Morgrim, and Morgrim, as we know, is the very first dwarf engineer. Who joins him on this grand journey, this grand quest. And the entire time, Grimnir is hemming and hawing his death song as they march north. And as they get north, they end up killing this kind of roaming dragon. And at this time in the world, dragons are far more prevalent. They're all over the place, rather than kind of relegated primarily to Kalidor. Kalidor is where a lot of the dragons went to go into their hibernations, and that's kind of why the High Elves kind of have that one-way access to dragons. But he kills this wandering dragon, Glamindring, and Grimnir then uses the claw of the dragon itself to add even more tattoos to himself, scarring them onto his own body. And at this time, it's another important note here, since this is really as the Karaz Encore is starting to rise to its height, so no holds have really kind of fallen off the map, as it were. So the northern dwarves had a very good connection with their kind of southern or at least just the World's End Mountain counterparts. So it was very much still intact. So we don't really see a reconnection with the northern dwarves until the current era of things in the 8th edition, when can't remember the Thane's name, who basically goes and remakes contact with the northern dwarves, and that cements his rise to becoming the High King. And I've mentioned in another video, and just right now it's totally escaping me, but So the duo, they feast there with the Northern Dwarves before moving on. And now we've kind of talked about how dwarfs are a little prone to embellishment when it comes to their fighting. So, you know, how they're epic and they're very lasting dwarf battles, and especially when it comes to feats of personal martial ability, it's always kind of like, you know, up the ass. So just like when we had Calidor II fighting with Starbreaker during the War of the Beard, it was a 3-day nonstop fight, but only did he get the extra hand, the upper hand, when Calidor faltered. Like, just, you know, just over the top. So it should come at no surprise that the duo fought with a Demon Prince of Khorne, lasting 3 whole days. So, you know, right on the eve of losing, Grimnir slew the mighty prince, and you know, bade his son, you know, go back south. We've done enough together. We've killed this demon prince. It's more or less cemented this gate being shut. I'm gonna stay up here. And this is another moment in the Warhammer history where we have a paragon of a respective society sort of kind of disappearing into time and obscurity, or in this case, the Chaos Wastes. So Grimnir kind of says, I'm staying here, and he's never really heard from again. He stays up there, and it's kind of one of those things, just like Gilles Le Breton, how he's sort of like, oh, he'll come back when Bretonnia needs him the most. Or same thing with Sigmar, how he'll come back when the Empire is at its worst situation. Well, cue the end times, but still. But really, that covers Grimnir. And Grimnir, he gets fleshed out a little bit more when we go into the Valaya and Grungy videos. There's not a ton here to go into. I was going to read a little excerpt from the book, but that excerpt was actually just spot on what this is. So rather than rehashing it and reiterating for myself, I'm just going to stick with what I've said so far. I will try to find a little bit better of an actual direct quote from the book for Valaya and Grungy. I know there's one in the Warhammer fantasy role-playing portion I just can't find right now. It just keeps escaping me, but I will find one of those for you guys here. But in our next video, we'll be going into Grungy and or maybe Valaya and together in the next video. This one was just a real quick one. I wanted to get out here to kind of jumpstart the 3 ancestor gods of the dwarfs. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this and you got a little bit better of an idea of as to where the Slayers kind of get where they get their rituals from, and where they kind of get their patron from, within Grimnir. So looking forward to Total War Warhammer 2, guys, coming out on Thursday. I will be doing an entire day stream of that. I'll be giving the game away as well to 1 or 2 lucky viewers that are watching. I'll be doing the High Elf campaign and the Dark Elf campaign, and then Turn and I will actually be doing a head-to-head campaign at the end of the day there during the evening. We'll shoot it back up, and we'll choose whatever races suit our fancy, and we'll go at it. But do queue in for that, guys. I'll have that going up all day Thursday, starting at 8 a.m. Pacific. So hope you can join me. But thanks for watching here today, guys. Have a good one and take care.